Welcome to the Random Green Podcast. Today I'm going to go over the 2024 NFL schedule. Now, last night they had their first preseason game between the Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans. And honestly, I don't even know who won that game because preseason, I watched a few plays here and there, and I watched there was some really good catches in that game between a lot of the Houston tight ends. Had some really nice catches. Spectacular catches, to be honest. And it was a really good game. But again, I don't know who even won, so you can check that out for yourself. Here at the Random Green channel and Random Green Sports, hey, we worry more, well, not worry, we pay attention more to the actual regular season when it comes down to it. That's like a spring game, it's almost like just practice games, and they're fun to watch, but when they don't have any real value, it's almost a little hard to actually kind of watch. It's just you know. Plus, I was at my aunt's place. We had a get together with other people, family members, and friends, and had a really good, uh, had an amazing dish of Mexican food. It was really good, really quite delicious, absolutely awesome. So, but you didn't want to hear me talk about that. So, oh, yes, here we have it. The Bears beat the Texans 21-17. Whoop-de-raw, dude, rah-rah. You know what? I'm not going to say the other. That was pretty cool. Looks like Brett Rippon at 166 yards passing. The rusher was Khalil Herbert. I don't know if that's even a Bear or a Texan. Anyway, I on this channel, not the podcast, but the actual videos. Technically, this is, I guess, on YouTube a video, but this is actually a podcast. So, I mean, basically, it's a podcast video. It's a video on a podcast. So it's YouTube's version of a podcast, which in reality, it's the same thing. I mean, it's a podcast. But on my videos, I do a lot of uh, collegiate gridiron predictions, and I think I will do one later on today. A couple. It's getting to the point where it's probably about sort of the 2nd of August. It's the 2nd of August, so the middle of August. I think I'll stop. I think that's when I'll stop doing the predictions for collegiate, for NCAA, which is National Collegiate Athletic Association, gridiron football. I'll probably stop around the middle of August. Anyway, enough digressing, and but I'm random, so I have to digress, don't I? No. Anyway, so yes, I do a lot of, again, collegiate predictions, and again, I'll look out for a few of those like coming later on. I'll probably do the Tennessee Volunteers and my thoughts on their season. And again, these are just reminder. And I always, when I do the videos, I always sit there and say, well, look, it's a prediction. So don't get too obsessed with what I say. Because a lot of individuals, they get so obsessed with what I actually say, and they think it's actually going to come to fruition. Why the heck would it? I mean, that's just unbelievable. There's how many people make a prediction and they're always wrong. I mean, you look at, there was a panelist that got every panelist, like 8 or 9 panelists, got the team wrong. They all picked the favorite, and they didn't win. They didn't win and they were wrong. So just like the collegiate, just like the university, just like with professional, It's not gonna everything's gonna it's not gonna come to fruition. You never know. Like I said, I can almost say for certainty that these predictions are just predictions. Okay, so don't take anything I say seriously because you'll just be wasting your time if you type in a comment. I'm not gonna even. I mean, if you want to, that's fine. But if you're gonna be saying, you know, cap only, and then act like you're yelling, just I don't even listen to those. I don't even read them. So Baltimore plays at Kansas City Thursday night, September the 5th. Now, this is a rematch of the AFC Championship game from last year. Kansas City won. Well, you know what? It's I think I say it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be another close game. Kansas City wins 20 to 16. So, yeah, they win 21-16. Kansas City beats Baltimore. Then they have a Friday night game in looks like in Brazil. Green Bay at Philadelphia. Boy, there's two of these teams from last year. They went from going they went in the opposite directions last year. Philadelphia started out really good, really hot, and then they just fizzled towards the end of the season, and they subsequently lost to Tampa Bay pretty bad. And Green Bay, they started out kind of slow, then they kind of peaked toward midseason, towards the end of the season. So, and I see that going into the Friday night game, September the 6th, 2024. Green Bay will beat Philadelphia in Brazil. I say 31-28. But it should be a competitive game. Then we move to Sunday, September 8th, 2024. I don't think I need to say 2024 anymore. With that, I can just say September the 8th. You'll know what I'm talking about. Pittsburgh at Atlanta. Kirk Cousins coming back. Well, he's starting with Atlanta for the first time. Pittsburgh, you don't know. They made some. They don't have Kenny Pickett anymore, which I thought that was really Mason Rudolph kind of. I don't know. I just don't. I'm not sold on Mason Rudolph, and I think that as far as I know, he's playing, but Kenny Pickett should be at the Steelers. I mean, good grief, they should not have let him gone. But he probably wanted to play. Who knows? He's a competitor. I get it. Atlanta beats Pittsburgh first game. Their first game. Arizona at Buffalo. Arizona's not. They're not looking for Arizona to do anything. But it's Buffalo at home, and Arizona's it's 2,500 miles away, basically. Not exactly. I don't know the exact number mileage away to Buffalo. They have to travel, but I go with Buffalo at home. I think Buffalo's going to be motivated. This is I think one of their years. If they don't do anything in 24, if they don't do anything in this season, they may never for a while, a long time. They have to really put it together. I think Buffalo might be a sleeper. I mean, a sleeper, but they're not a sleeper. I mean, because they last year and the year before the year before that they were looking to be Super Bowl contenders, and I think they still are. But a lot of people might be not thinking that they will be so good. You know what I mean? I mean, because Buffalo disappointed last year. They could have beaten Kansas City, and I think the winner of that game probably would have won the Super Bowl. But Kansas City won that the missed field goal from Buffalo. So Tennessee at Chicago. I'm going to go with the Titans at the Bears because I just don't know what the Bears can really do the first game. And don't get me wrong, I don't think the Titans are going to be have a good season this year. Vrabel's gone, and they do have. I think Will Levis is going to be playing for them. I mean, they're going to be starting, and I think he's going to have a great future. I just don't see them really doing anything this year. Hopefully, do. I don't mind the Titans. I never really never really minded the Titans. I always liked them when they were the Oilers. That was a long time ago, though. I mean, I always liked the Titans. I mean, this franchise, I've always liked Tennessee. New England at Cincinnati. Now, New England is just, boy, I tell you what, new coach, new identity. I mean, it's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough for New England to beat Cincinnati. I think since Cincinnati is gonna, that's my Super Bowl team. I think really Cincinnati is gonna actually win the Super Bowl. As crazy as it sounds, Joe Burrow's back. He'll be healthy. Cincinnati beats New England 45-7. Yeah, well, and again, these are all predictions, so you never know. Houston and Indianapolis. I'm going to go with Houston on the road. I think Indianapolis, they're looking for revenge, and it's going to be the revenge factor, but they might lose a little focus and realize that it's just a new year, and that was just what happened last year was happened. Houston beats Indianapolis on the road. Jacksonville at Miami. Now these two teams could potentially be the top two AFC teams. Really, Jacksonville's gonna be good. They better because they gave all that money to they signed Trevor Lawrence to a big contract. I'm gonna go with Miami though, the first game at home, and it should be a really close game. I think this might actually be a high scoring game. 38-35 Miami over Jacksonville. Carolina at New Orleans. Carolina at New Orleans. This is, Carolina, I think, is going to be a better team this year. I really think that Carolina is going to be a much better focused team. And I say they go to New Orleans and win the first game because New Orleans, you never know. Dennis Allen, not really a favorite, not really a player's coach, as far as I know. I think Carolina is going to beat New Orleans and a surprise win. Well, not really a surprise win because in the NFL you should never be surprised if a team can turn it around. I'm going to go with the Carolina in this game. Minnesota at New York. Now New York is Minnesota. It says Minnesota is favored by 1 point. I'm going to go with, you know what? I'm going to go with Minnesota. They're going to kind of get revenge against New York. I really like that pick for JJ McCarthy. But Sam Darnold is starting. But I think this is going to be a time. I think for the 2024 season for the Minnesota Vikings, I think it's going to be a telling sign where if it's an offensive coach, I think Kevin O'Connell, O'Connell's the head coach. He's an offensive guy. He's going to focus on his offense. But you know what? Anytime you play against Saquon Barkley, Saquon Barkley could have a really, really awesome game against the Vikings defense. The Vikings defense is questioned. I think they got a little better on the offensive line. They certainly have the firepower downfield with Justin Jefferson. They're probably the best receiver in the NFL. That's a bold statement because there are some other ones, but I say Minnesota wins in a shootout, 37-34 over the Giants. And I don't know if the Giants have a really good defense. I know they have Dexter Lawrence. I still believe they have Dexter Lawrence. He is going to be a force in the middle, but anytime he doesn't play in the secondary. So I think I don't know if New York's going to. Maybe they got better. It's it's hard to keep track of the players. I really feel like the Giants probably won't be the best defense by any stretch of the imagination, but I think they should be stout against the run. And I think this might be a game where it's going to be the first half is going to be like a close, low scoring game, but the second half there'll be more scoring. And they always say defense is ahead of the offense, but you never know. And then that stupid kickoff rule, I don't know I don't like that kickoff rule. Just as a side point, I don't like that. I seen that a couple of plays and it looked really silly. I don't like it at all. It's not the NFL. It's not the NFL what it used to be, that's for sure. But I realize that they, at the same time, they have to protect players. I get it. And there's no hip drop tackle. And you just don't drop your hips when you don't leave your feet. But there's probably going to be a penalty here or there with that. And There was a couple penalties yesterday with that. I seen the Bears do a false start or whatever, and they didn't re-kick. They just there was a penalty added onto it, and the Houston started on like 5 yards or 10 yards down the field. I think it was 5 yards. I can't imagine they would do 10 yards for that. So I think the Vikings win in the shootout. 37-34, 41-38 perhaps. I don't think their defenses are going to be quite. Minnesota's going to focus more on their offense. In the future, Minnesota has to get a better defense in order for them to want to be really successful to get past that hump. Like I say, my best friend's a Minnesota Viking fan, and one of my best friends is a really good big Minnesota Viking fans, and I really hope they do good. As much as I don't particularly like them, I like to see JJ McCarthy. And the bottom line was the Vikings. I don't like the fact that they wear purple. I do like. I am looking forward to that game where they play the Bears, the winter whiteout, where they wear all white and a little bit of purple, and that looks better than just all purple. I'm not a big fan of that all purple. Purple doesn't belong in football, let alone any sport. I mean, that's my opinion. But Vikings win on the road at New York Giants. Okay, moving on. Las Vegas at Los Angeles Chargers. The Raiders at the Chargers. No, the last time the Raiders played the Chargers, Raiders put 63 on them. After the week before, they lost to the Vikings 3-0. Seriously, 3-0. But Las Vegas, I really think that they go on. They're not going to. Jim Harbaugh's debut with the Los Angeles Chargers. Los Angeles Chargers don't have the best defense, but I say Los Angeles wins. The Chargers beat the Raiders, and it'll be 31-24, something like that. Denver at Seattle. Seattle has a new coach. I think they do. Honestly, I don't. Here, let me look at here. I'm going to look on. Let's just see here who the coach is. So, the coach for the Seahawks. Well, I'm searching here. Mike McDonald's their head coach. Born June 26, 1987. In Boston, Massachusetts. Now to Georgia. So, yes. So, new coach in Seattle. Seattle home against Denver. I'm a Denver Broncos fan, but I'm a realistic Denver Broncos fan. I say Seattle's owned Denver the last few years. Seattle has definitely owned Denver the last few years. Boy, tell you what. So I'll pick Seattle, but it will be a close game. So, yeah, Denver and Seattle. Seattle, again, has owned Denver the last few seasons. But they don't, like I said, a long time ago, they used to be in the same conference back in the AFC West. Seattle left, obviously, to go to the NFC West. That was back in 2002. So some of you might not have even been born if you're listening to this. So that was a long time ago. So, yes, Seattle beats Denver, but I still think Denver's going to be better than they were last year. Dallas at Cleveland. Cleveland wins in a very close game. Cleveland, don't sleep on Cleveland now. Cleveland should be an excellent team this year. Very close game. They beat Dallas. And they find a way to win. Washington at Tampa Bay. Now, Tampa Bay could be the best team in the NFC South. boy, I tell you what, it's really hard to really say who's going to win. I'm just going to go by the games. I'm not going to say who's going to win the conferences and all that. I already told you at the beginning. I say since Cincinnati wins the Super Bowl, who they beat, I don't know. Detroit maybe or San Francisco. But again, the games, the regular season games, what I'm focused on. I say Tampa Bay beats Washington. Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers get the Washington team 35-14. Who knows? The Rams at the Lions. Now, here's another team that could be really good. This is a Super Bowl team from 3 seasons ago when they beat the Bengals in a really close game. I think the Lions, who are very hyped. Now, listen, Lions, you know, they very well could be the NFC North champs and do some wonderful things in the playoffs. However, you're not going to go undefeated. They're not going to go undefeated. So I'm going to go with the Rams because a lot of people thinking Rams and the Lions. Oh, the Lions should look. I think the Rams will be a sleeper in the NFL. They'll be one of the better teams. Maybe not. They'll be a top 10 team. I'll say that. They find a way to beat Detroit on the road. Detroit, now their defense, a little suspect. So that's one thing, they're a little better. But I tell you what, I think that their defense is maybe the question. Their offense should be pretty stout. I think their defense will be better than they were last year even. But you know what? I say the Rams beat the Lions by 1 point. 31-30. They'll be like, whoa, it'll be one of those games. 1 point game. And New York Jets at San Francisco. There's another sleeper. The New York Jets. Yes, they're talking about them. Will they win the AFC East? Probably not. It's the same old Jets, probably more than likely. But I say that they go to San Francisco and win. Bold prediction. Aaron Rodgers comes back, plays a little healthier. I think he's still playing with the Jets. Who knows? Maybe unless he just got released 5 minutes ago. I doubt that. But, okay, so that's week 1. Week 2 is coming up. Well, in the prediction anyway. Buffalo at Miami. At Miami. Miami finds a way to win it against Buffalo. And the following game is New Orleans at Dallas. New Orleans at Dallas. Oh, boy. So both these teams at this point are 0-1. I have the Cowboys beating the Saints at home. Very close game. They find a way to win, though. Tampa Bay at Detroit. Boy, Detroit's playing the first 2 teams they beat in the playoffs. Back-to-back weeks. I think the wild card game was against the Rams, and they beat the Buccaneers, who beat the Eagles. So they open up the second back-to-back weeks. This is the divisional round last year. I think I'm going to go with Detroit. Detroit finds a way to win. 21-14, 21-7. Detroit gets back on the winning track. Indianapolis at Green Bay. I'm going to go with Green Bay at home to go to 2-0. So the Colts will be 0-2 to start off. New York Jets at Tennessee Titans. I'm going to go with the Jets at the Titans and a big win. They find a way to absolutely dominate the Titans. And there's a team I don't mind too, is the Jets. I've always kind of liked the Jets. San Francisco at Minnesota. San Francisco lost to in a Monday night game last year. I see it's going to be a different story. I think San Francisco finds a way to beat Minnesota in a low-scoring game. San Francisco defense plays better. and they beat the Vikings 28-14. 2 touchdowns. Seattle at New England. I'm going to go with Seattle. Seattle beats New England. Seattle moves to 2-0, and New England goes to 0-2. New York at Washington, a couple of 0-1 teams. I say the Giants will beat the Washington Commanders 34-30. Los Angeles at Carolina. If the Chargers had a little bit better of a defense, and I don't know, they could probably play a lot better this year on defense side of the ball. I think Carolina, they find a way to win. I think Bryce Young will have a good game, and it'll be a shootout. I think both Carolina and Los Angeles, again, are not going to be really good teams. I mean, again, Carolina, I think Tampa Bay is going to win the NFC South. I think Carolina wins this game, though, in a shootout, 39-36 over the Chargers. Cleveland at Jacksonville. Yes, I picked Miami against Jacksonville. The first game, I'll take the Jags in this one. The Jaguars will beat the Browns, so both teams will move to 1-1. Las Vegas at Baltimore, both teams 0-1. Baltimore, the Ravens come out and they're going to be motivated. They beat the Raiders after losing the Chiefs back-to-back, essentially. AFC Championship game. It's a new year, but yeah, they still lost to the Chiefs. And they're going to get back in the winning ways. They beat the Vegas soundly. The Rams at the Cardinals. Rams go to 2-0, and the Cardinals go to 0-2. Pittsburgh at Denver. Now, if I get some of these wrong, where I say, well, okay, the team that he picked, he said they were 5-0, but he said they were 5-1 or something like that, where I make a mistake, I do apologize. But how many people get paid millions of dollars to give you predictions and they get something wrong? So keep that in mind. But Los Angeles goes at 2-0 over the Arizona's 0-2. Pittsburgh and at Denver. Pittsburgh, I think I predicted them to lose last following week. They go to 0-2. Denver goes to 1-1. Denver beats Pittsburgh. And who did they? Okay, sorry guys. Yeah, so Pittsburgh will lose to Atlanta week 1. Week 2, they will lose to Denver. So they go to 0-2. Denver is 1-1. Cincinnati at Kansas City. Now, this is going to be an outstanding game. Kansas City 1-0. Cincinnati 1-0. But Cincinnati finds a way to win in overtime, 33-27 in overtime. It's going to be a potential AFC Championship matchup. And Cincinnati finds a way to win on the road at Kansas City. And I know it's a bold prediction, but hey, anything's possible. Chicago Bears at Houston Texans. Chicago, I predicted them to get beat by the Titans, but they'll get beat at Houston, the Texans. This is going to be a revenge game for Houston. No, I'm just kidding. Because there was a preseason game. Who? Man. I'm just checking back. Okay, the Bears won 21-17, so it's going to be revenge, So Houston finds a way to win against Chicago. Houston will be 2-0. Bears 0-2. Monday night, Atlanta at Philadelphia. Boy, you can't say Philadelphia is going to go. I can't say Philadelphia is going to be 0-2. So I got to go with the Eagles beating the Falcons at home. So both teams will be 1-1. And because I just can't say that the Eagles are going to be, or the Eagles will be 0-2. It could happen, of course. Anything's possible. But I'm going to go with Eagles at home. So both teams will be 1-1. Week 3. Oh, that was preseason week 3 I clicked on. Sorry, guys. Week 3 of the NFL regular season. Now, New England at the New York Jets. New York Jets go to 3-0. They are 3-0. And New England falls to 0-3. At some point, this is where they're going to probably play Drake May. Drake May has to get in there, and my prediction is that Drake May will play and he'll have a really good season. And don't. I mean, you know what? A lot of people aren't giving New England a chance, and so that's what's really scary about if you don't give a team a chance. Generally, if they're the Jets, and there's some times where teams are, where you say they're not going to really do anything, and they really don't do anything. But New England could be a team where I just can't say that they're going to be good. But they're 0-3. New York Jets will beat the Patriots at home. New York Giants at Cleveland. Cleveland beats the New York Giants. I'm sorry, New York Giants. So Cleveland over the New York Giants. Green Bay at Tennessee. Green Bay goes to Tennessee and puts up a wall. They wall up Tennessee. They even put up 50 on them. Whatever reason they put up some numbers on whenever the Packers play the Titans, they do pretty good against the Titans. So I say Green Bay, wall up some. I don't know a score. Chicago at Indianapolis. Indianapolis will get their first win of the year, beating Chicago. Houston at Minnesota. Houston has never beaten Minnesota until September 22nd, 2024. I got Houston finally beat Minnesota, and they win. So this makes Houston 3-0, I believe, and if I remember. And Minnesota falls to 1-2. Philadelphia 1-1 at New Orleans. I'm gonna go with Philadelphia. So Philadelphia moves to 2-1. I don't even know what I even said about New Orleans, what their record is at this point. But Philadelphia beats New Orleans. Los Angeles beats Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh Steelers go to 0-3. The Chargers score a lot of points, and somehow the Chargers maybe have this might be a really bad game. LA Chargers put up 55 on Pittsburgh, 55-14. Again, these are predictions. I hate to say that. And if you're watching this and you're a Steelers fan, by no means don't take me serious because I don't know. Don't take anybody. Don't even take prognosticators. Don't even take the prognosticators on ESPN that think they know what they're talking about because they're wrong too. And no difference. I hope I'm not right because I do like Pittsburgh. But Chargers find a way to put it together at Pittsburgh. Denver at Tampa Bay. Last time the Broncos played Tampa Bay was when Tom Brady was with them in 2020. Tampa Bay beat them 28-10, I believe. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay at home. Denver goes to 1-2. Tampa Bay is, I don't know what they are at this point. Carolina at Las Vegas. Carolina beats Las Vegas. Sorry, Vegas fans. Sorry, Raiders. 0-3 and 2-1 for Carolina. Or did I say? No, wait. Yes, I apologize. I think Los Angeles. All right. I'm not going to look back and say. I'm just going to go. I'm going to tell you who wins and who loses week by week, and you keep tally because it's hard to keep tally when I don't have it. I just say, and I apologize, but I'll just tell you. I think wins each these games, and you can decipher what I said, what records they are. Because I do think I said Los Angeles beats Carolina, or Carolina beats Los Angeles. I can't remember. I'll just, like I say, I'll do it that form. I'll do that way. Do the format of saying who wins week by week, and you keep it if you keep the record if you want. If you even listen to this podcast, Carolina, Las Vegas. Carolina wins against Las Vegas. Miami at Seattle. Miami has to go all the way to Seattle. And they find a way to win. So I think Miami's still undefeated at this point, I said. Anyway. Baltimore at Dallas. Ravens beat the Cowboys. San Francisco at Los Angeles. San Francisco. gets beat by the Rams this game. The Rams find a way to win. Detroit at Arizona. Detroit wins in a big way, 38-10 over Arizona. Kansas City, Atlanta. Kansas City gets they lost to Cincinnati, I believe I said last week, and they win handily, 42-20 at Atlanta. Jacksonville at Buffalo. Oh boy, Jacksonville beats Buffalo at this point. Washington at Cincinnati. Cincinnati. This is Monday night games, by the way. Jacksonville at Buffalo. And Washington at Cincinnati. I got Cincinnati winning. Maybe another 40, maybe 50 points in this game. Who knows? They win. Week 4 coming up. Week 4 coming up in my predictions. Dallas at New York Giants. Thursday night game. Dallas beats New York Giants. Then the rest of the games, New Orleans at Atlanta. Atlanta beats New Orleans. Los Angeles at Chicago. The Rams, that is. The LA Rams beat the Bears. Minnesota at Green Bay. Minnesota can go to Green Bay and win. And I see this Minnesota beats Green Bay. Minnesota gets, I guess I wouldn't say an upset because it's really not an upset. One thing about the NFL, there's no upsets. It should be unless a team is like 0-10 versus a 10-0 team, then it's an upset. So I say Minnesota finds a way to beat Green Bay at Green Bay. I believe that's Green Bay's first loss. I don't know. Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. Indianapolis beats Pittsburgh. I said they're 0-3 prior. They go 0-4 at Indianapolis. Denver at New York Jets. I think I have the Jets undefeated. The Denver goes in there and they lose in overtime. They play the Jets really tough. I think they lost to them last year, the Broncos, but the Jets beat them again. So Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, and this is revenge for Philadelphia. They beat Tampa Bay, and they beat them good. 28-16, something like that. Cincinnati at Carolina. I'm going to go with Cincinnati at Carolina. Jacksonville at Houston. I'm going to go with Jacksonville at Houston here in this game. Washington at Arizona. I'm going to go with Washington. Washington gets a victory at Arizona. I think Arizona's winless at this point. New England at San Francisco. I got to go with San Francisco at home. I think this will be a game it'll be actually a close game. New England's defeated, but San Francisco finds a way to win, and they find a way to win big. Did I just say this will be a close game? They have a big win, and it's going to be a close game, I'll say. Cleveland at Las Vegas. Cleveland beats Las Vegas. Vegas, I think, at this point is winless. Yes, winless. Sorry, Raiders fans. I'm probably wrong in this, but Cleveland beats the Las Vegas. Kansas City at Los Angeles Chargers. Almost said Rams. I said the Chargers against the Bears, and it was the Rams at the Bears. Kansas City finds a way to win in a really close game. 34. I was just going to say 34-3. Just contradicting myself all day long. I'm just being not prepared. Well, it's a game-by-game prediction, not an NFL analyst, but I say that Kansas City beats Los Angeles. I'll just say 2 touchdowns. Buffalo, Baltimore. Ravens find a way to beat the Bills in a very close game. That's a Sunday night game, for the record. Tennessee at Miami. The Dolphins win against the Titans. They shut them out. Dolphins defense rises up to the occasion. They intercept Will Levis 3 times and have a bunch of missed field goals. It's not like Miami completely destroys them on defense, but a shout out 24-0 Miami. Seattle, Detroit. Detroit beats Seattle 35-19. Next week, they have the Week 5, the Thursday night game, Tampa Bay, Atlanta. So these 2 best NFC South teams. I say Tampa Bay beats Atlanta on the road. New York Jets at Minnesota on a Sunday in the morning in London. Yes, it's London. I looked at it and I'm thinking, okay, it's a Sunday, October 6th at 8:30 in the morning. So New York Jets at Minnesota. It's technically a neutral site. I'm going to go with the Jets at Minnesota. It's because it's the Jets will find a way to score on the Vikings, and yes, so I say the Jets beat the Vikings. Now, the Vikings. This is where I think this will be Sam Darnold's last start, and they put in J.J. McCarthy the following week. And it might be a little too early. Maybe I won't say that. But Sam Darnold doesn't have the best game. He throws some interceptions, and the Jets find a way to win this game. Carolina at Chicago, back in the mainland. They go because I was talking about the game in London. That's why I said that. Okay, you know that. All right, Carolina at Chicago. Panthers find a way to beat the Bears. It's going to be a close game, 23-20 Panthers. Baltimore at Cincinnati. Now, these two best AFC East teams, Cincinnati will find another way to win 38-37 in a game they probably shouldn't win, but they win. So they stay atop the AFC East. Miami at New England. Miami beats New England at New England. But this will be a probably close game. It'll be 28-27. Miami finds a way to beat New England. And this is where they put Drake May in, perhaps. Drake May throws a lot of good, 2 or 3 touchdown passes against Miami's defense, and then Miami be shell-shocked, and they have to win in the last-second field goal or a last-second touchdown. I mean, not a last possession touchdown. 3 minutes left to play or whatever. I don't know. Who knows? Cleveland at Washington. The Browns at the Commanders. The Browns win against Washington. Indianapolis at Jacksonville. Indianapolis win. No, they're not there. I got Jacksonville. I say Jacksonville beats Indianapolis. Trevor Lawrence throws 4 or 5 touchdown passes. Does a good job. Buffalo at Houston. Buffalo wins in overtime against Houston. 22-16. Well, 23-7, something like that. Whatever. Las Vegas at Denver. Las Vegas gets their first win of the year. I think I said, yeah. They get their first win of the year. I think at Denver. I'm sorry, man. I'm not a really big faithful Bronco fan. I still say the Broncos will be better than they were last year. Arizona at San Francisco. San Francisco pounds Arizona in the submission. Arizona don't have a defense. I don't know if Cliff Kingsbury's still there. The head coach of the Cardinals. San Francisco wallops them. Green Bay at Los Angeles Rams. Yes, Los Angeles Rams will keep that heat on San Francisco, and Los Angeles Rams finds a way to beat Green Bay. 37-27 over the Packers. No, 38-28. No, I don't know. They beat the Packers. New York Giants at Seattle. I have to go with Seattle. On the road, far away. New York Giants. I think maybe the head coach of the Giants is on the hot seat. I don't know if he's even still there. The Dabo or I don't know, how do I say this? The offensive, the deep. He was at Alabama, and then he went to New England. I'm not going to even look it up because due to the nature of time, I don't want this to go too far because obviously, well, it's already gone past. Yeah. Anyway, we're almost past the half-hour threshold. We're actually past well past the half-hour threshold. So, yes, New York at Seattle. Go Seattle. The guy with lack of hair. I got to be careful what I say, so I don't want to say bald. Well, okay, he's a bald coach. The bald coach is in the hot seat. So this season, if he's still there, I think he is. New York Giants at Seattle. Seattle wins. Dallas at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh gets their first win of the year. They beat Dallas. Dallas Dallas. This is a Sunday night game now, and Dallas finds a way to blow it. Pittsburgh probably. Dallas has some turnovers, a sloppy play by Prescott. Pittsburgh wins. Pittsburgh wins. Monday night game. New Orleans at Kansas City. Kansas City will put up a bunch of points on New Orleans. This might be a really bad game, and I say Kansas City puts up 52 points on New Orleans, wins 52 to 24. 52 to 24. Will that be the score? I don't know. Does it really matter? A win is a win in the NFL. Obviously, you don't want to give up 60 every game and win 65 to 63. I mean, or 77 to 66. You don't want to do that. You want to have somewhat of a respectable defense. And yes, you probably already know that. Week 6 coming up. San Francisco at Seattle. San Francisco upsets Seattle. Well, God, I'm sorry. San Francisco beats Seattle 13 to 10 in a kind of a low scoring game at Seattle. This is Thursday, October 10th, 2024. Obviously, it's 2024. And I said, I'm not going to talk about 2024 because you know it's a 2024 season. And here I go and get and mess up and say that. Sunday, October 13th, they play in London. The Bears and the Jaguars. Yes, the Jaguars embarrassed the Bears 47-14. And Jacksonville's defense shuts down the Bears' offense. And maybe this is where Tyson Badgett comes into play. I have nothing against Caleb Williams. I think he'll be an outstanding quarterback, and I hope he proves me wrong. And but Jacksonville's a good team, so Jacksonville wins. Arizona at Green Bay back in mainland USA. Arizona at Green Bay. Green Bay gets Green Bay wins and I don't think I've even given Arizona a win this yet so far. I can tell you who right now. I can tell you the teams that will not make the playoffs, and I'll say this right now: these are going to be teams: Arizona, New Orleans. Let's just start in the NFC West. Arizona, Seattle. No, Arizona is the only team. I say there's 3 teams in the NFC West that make the playoffs. Well, I don't know. Arizona. Let's just say Arizona doesn't make the playoff. NFC North, the team that doesn't make the playoff, the Bears and the Vikings. NFC South, the teams that don't make the playoffs, Saints and Panthers. NFC East, the teams that don't make the playoffs, Commanders, Cowboys. Yes, the Cowboys will not make the playoffs, so they don't have to worry about getting beat in the playoffs. The Commanders, the Cowboys, and the Giants. Yes, I say the Eagles will get back to it again and make their. And maybe that leaves one team out because there's 7 teams that make the playoffs in the NFC, obviously. But like I say, these are just prediction game by game predictions. Maybe I could have been a little prepared and wrote it down, but yeah. Anyway, Arizona at Green Bay. Green Bay destroys Arizona. Indianapolis at Tennessee. Sorry. And then I'll say in the AFC teams that don't make the playoffs, the AFC East, the Patriots. AFC North, Steelers. Wow, that's okay. And then AFC South, Titans don't make it. Colts don't make it. AFC West, Broncos, Raiders, Chargers don't make the playoffs. And I say AFC East also. The Jets don't make the playoffs. And I think that's more than enough to say. I think that's more than enough. I don't know. Okay. I was just trying to think of the 7 teams that will make the playoffs when I said that because I have to kind of anyway. Houston at New England. Indianapolis will beat Tennessee at the Titans. Nissan Stadium in Nashville. You want to know? Houston at New England. Houston beats New England. Tampa Bay at New Orleans. Tampa Bay beats New Orleans. Cleveland at Philadelphia. The Eagles beat the Browns. Washington at Baltimore. The Ravens destroy the Commanders 37-0. I think Commanders will be one of those NFC teams that, you know, just I don't know. I honestly I don't think they're going to be that great. The Chargers at the Broncos. This is where the Chargers get destroyed by the Broncos. No one's expecting the Broncos to play really well. The Broncos beat the Chargers because the Chargers defense. I'm still not sold on their defense. Could they prove me wrong? Of course they could. Could they do it? Obviously. But prediction, Denver beats Los Angeles. Denver is going to be a lot better in offense. They run over Los Angeles. Kind of shell shock them. Kind of like what the Raiders did last year to the Chargers. After the Vegas scored, it was a 3-0 game, and they just never seen that before, where a team gets shut out 3-0, and they come back and score 63. Of course, that was last year. I'm talking about 24. I'm talking about this season, but Denver does that kind of what they do that at home against Los Angeles Chargers. Pittsburgh at Las Vegas. Las Vegas gets a W against Pittsburgh. Detroit at Dallas. I'm going to go with the Lions in this one. Yes, the Lions. Dallas doesn't. That they're talking. They're thinking so much about the playoffs of last year, and you know what? It's very easy to think that, oh, what are we going to do in the playoffs when playoff time comes? We have to really play well, and they forget about the regular season. And Dallas they don't play that well, and Detroit goes in there and beats them 35-10. I know it was and these scores are going to come to fruition. No, of course not. Atlanta at Carolina. Atlanta wins in overtime against Carolina, 20-14. Kirk Cousins hits one of the receiver. Kirk Cousins has a game-winning touchdown in overtime. Cincinnati at New York Giants. Cincinnati still remains undefeated, and they beat the Giants on the road quite handily, 34-7. Buffalo at the New York Jets. The Buffalo Bills destroy the New York Jets in this game. That's a Monday night game. So, week number 7. So, Thursday night game of week 7, Denver at New Orleans. Sean Payton returns to the Superdome to play the Saints. And the Broncos find a way to beat the Saints. They put up some points on the Saints, and they handle them pretty good. I think the last time they played them was like 30-3 or 30-6. Just a really bad game. 31-3, I think it was. That's when the Broncos had like their practice squad quarterback on there, and they just couldn't do anything. And yes, so they get revenge. This is a new season. They find a way to win, and they put up some points on the board. Sunday game and start off is in London. New England at Jacksonville. Jacksonville, I think, keeps New England winless, and Jacksonville continues to roll. Drake May has a decent game, 2 touchdowns, but Jacksonville wins 38-17. Seattle at Atlanta. Atlanta finds a way to beat Seattle. Tennessee at Buffalo. Buffalo destroys Tennessee and probably shuts them out. This might be the biggest blowout of the season. I say Buffalo wins 55-0 this game over the Titans. Why do I say that? I don't know. I don't know. again. Yeah. Cincinnati at Cleveland. Cleveland beats Cincinnati. That's going to be Cincinnati's first loss. Cleveland wins 24-21. Houston at Green Bay. Green Bay beats Houston in overtime, 30-24. Miami at Indianapolis. Miami finds a way to win 31-28. Detroit at Minnesota. Detroit makes Sam Darnold look bad, and Sam Darnold has another 3 or 4 interception game, maybe more. Detroit keeps Minnesota out of the end zone, but they get 3 field goals, and Detroit wins 34-9. Philadelphia at New York Giants. Philadelphia beats the Giants quite handily. Las Vegas at the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams beat the Vegas Raiders. Carolina at the Washington Commanders. Carolina beats Washington. And this will probably be a really close game. They win 29-28. Kansas City at San Francisco. Kansas City finds a way to win again in overtime. 26-23. Last year was 25-22 in overtime in the Super Bowl, but they find a way to win. Patrick Mahomes throws another touchdown pass to, let's say, Travis Kelce. Maybe. But they win. New York Jets at Pittsburgh. New York Jets on a Sunday night game go to Pittsburgh and put up 45 points. They go and win 45-21 over Pittsburgh. Monday night game. There's 2 Monday night games, and I don't know why they're doing this for whatever reason. So one's at 7:15 p.m. and I don't know if these are all, I believe. I'm trying to look here. I don't think they actually play. Well, 7:15 and 8 o'clock. I think it's Central Standard Time. Actually, it's Eastern Time, I believe. Yeah. No, actually, it is Central Standard Time. It is Central Standard Time. Baltimore will beat Tampa Bay, but it'll be a close game. 21-20, maybe a point. 23-22, something like that. Chargers, LA Chargers at Arizona. LA Chargers goes out and puts up a lot of points. Justin Herbert throws 6 touchdown passes and beats the Cardinals. The buys, the Bears and the Cowboys have buys. Week number 7. Moving on to week 8 of the 2024 season. The Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Rams. Yes. A good game. Maybe this is where J.J. McCarthy starts his first game after Sam Darnold has awful games. And yes, the Vikings play at the Rams. The Rams, though, are just really good, and they put up a show on offense. They get after the Vikings QB. J.J. McCarthy doesn't have a lot of chance, but he does pretty good. He throws 2 touchdown passes, has maybe 2 interceptions because it's his first game. Let's just face it. It'll be a tough game, but the Rams find a way to beat the Vikings. Now, the regular season games, looks like there's no games in London, so. Baltimore at Cleveland. Cleveland just gave Cincinnati the win, first loss last week, but Cleveland cannot find a way to beat Baltimore. Baltimore beats Cleveland 24-17. Tennessee Titans at Detroit. Detroit Lions shut out the Titans again. This time 38-0. So they get shut out back-to-back weeks. Could it happen? Of course it could. Will it? Probably not. Just prediction. Probably wrong in the prediction. Arizona at Miami Dolphins. Miami destroys Arizona. And I still think maybe I haven't given Arizona a win at this point. But Miami wins 44-20. New York Jets at New England. New York Jets keep New England still winless. They win 33-22. Atlanta at Tampa Bay. The battle for the NFC South lead goes to Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay defense gets after Atlanta. And Tampa Bay probably has one of the better offensive lines, even with rookie Graham Barton, who I think is going to be an amazing offensive lineman for Tampa Bay. They run the ball at Atlanta, and they just cannot stop the Tampa Bay rushing attack. Tampa Bay puts up 250 on their defense. Running the ball will be, well, the running back. I think it's Zadarius White. Maybe he's might be like the. I'm going to play for Atlanta. No, he actually does play for Tampa Bay. He went to Georgia, but anyway, it's a side point. But they run the ball at him. Atlanta can't stop Tampa Bay's run that game. That's a prediction. Chicago at Washington. And you know this is a prediction, but I have to keep on saying it just in case if you are mad because I said, oh, your team might not do this or might do this. Chicago at Washington. The Commanders beat the Bears. I think that's Commanders, maybe their first win? Second win? I can't remember. Chicago gets beat at Washington. But the wide receiver for the Washington Huskies, the rookie, will have a big game, and Caleb Williams will have an excellent game, but the Bears defense will and special teams and turnovers, they'll just have a really bad game, and Washington finds a way to win. 37-36 against the Bears. Green Bay at Jacksonville. Jacksonville finds a way to win with the younger quarterbacks of Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence. Jacksonville, that's going to be the quarterback show. Jacksonville's going to have a last laugh. They win 38-33 over the Packers in a really good game, offensive showing. Indianapolis at Houston. Houston Texans find a way to beat Indianapolis again in a low-scoring 13-6 game. Houston beats Indianapolis. New Orleans Saints at Los Angeles Chargers. New Orleans players are fed up with Dennis Allen. They want him out, and Los Angeles Chargers put up a complete game. They win 41-7 over the Saints, and the Chargers play good on defense, but mainly because New Orleans plays bad on offense. Buffalo at Seattle. Buffalo goes all the way across Seattle and wins by a touchdown, 28-21. Philadelphia at Cincinnati. Cincinnati loses their first game against the Eagles. This game, Joe Burrow gets pressured and throws 2 or 3 picks. Philadelphia defense steps up the plate and wins 21-14. No, actually 24-14. No, whatever. They win, but Cincinnati's first loss of the season will be against the Eagles on week 8. Carolina at Denver. Denver gets a win against Carolina. And Denver wins, let's say 27-10. Kansas City at Las Vegas Raiders. Kansas City's last loss was against the Raiders, but that was against home at Arrowhead. Will this happen again? No. Kansas City goes to Las Vegas and wins 31-7. Big win for Kansas City. Las Vegas is really struggling with their new head coach, Antonio Pierce, whose second season last year he was an interim coach. But yes, Kansas City just keeps Las Vegas and makes them look silly. Kansas City wins 31-7. Patrick Mahomes has another big game. The rushing attack will have a wonderful game. Their defense they're really actually pretty decent. They were really good last year. Maybe not the best, but they did pretty good. Dallas at San Francisco. Dallas finds a way to win at San Francisco in a Sunday night game. They get off the schneid and they win 30-26 after San Francisco. Monday night game, New York Giants at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh Steelers wins at home Mason Rudolph has a near perfect game, and Saquon Barkley has enough rushing yards to have probably 200 yards rushing. But Pittsburgh finds a way to win, even though the impressive rushing total from Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones gets injured in this game, but he comes back and plays in the third and fourth quarter. The rally's not good enough, and anyway, Pittsburgh wins. I'm sorry, Pittsburgh wins. Week 9 of the 2024 NFL season. So, Halloween night, October 31st, Houston at the New York Jets on a Thursday night game. I'm going to go with Houston on the road in this one. The Jets have been playing really hot, but Houston comes back, and they've been playing pretty good too. Houston gets a road win against the Jets on the road. Dallas at Atlanta. Atlanta wins this game against the Cowboys. Dallas shows some signs. Dak Prescott has a good game, but somehow Atlanta just finds a way to win this game at home. And Kirk Cousins has another good game, and Atlanta wins 33-32. So Miami at Buffalo. Buffalo gets revenge by beating the Dolphins quite handily at home against the Dolphins. So Buffalo splits the series with Miami in the season. Las Vegas at Cincinnati. The Bengals absolutely destroy the Vegas Raiders, 45-14. Yes, the week before they lost to the Eagles. So, yeah, I mean, like I say, it's going to be one of those games where, like I say, okay. Trying to hit week 9. Okay, I'm back. I'm still at week 9. Okay, it was on week 8. I just wanted to make sure that Cincinnati, the week before Cincinnati gets their first loss, or suffers their first loss against the Eagles. They get back and beat the Vegas Raiders pretty soundly. Los Angeles Chargers at Cleveland Browns next on the schedule here. I'm going to go with Cleveland at home. They put a lot of pressure on Herbert, and the Browns find a way to run the ball at them and exploit their defense. And certainly, I think going into the offseason for the following year, Jim Harbaugh probably has a lot of defensive work he has to do. So, New England at Tennessee. Let's go with the Titans this one. Titans get a win against the Patriots in a very close game. 1-point win for Tennessee. And Drake May has a big game. Both battle of quarterbacks against maybe one of the best defenses. And Titans find a way to win. Indianapolis at Minnesota. Remember a couple years ago when Indianapolis had that 33-0 lead, and the Vikings come back and win 39-36. It won't be anything like that, but the Vikings, I think, find a way to win. They beat the Colts 2 in a row, because before the Colts had a long winning streak against the Vikings, and now they're going to have a losing streak. Seems like it, but Minnesota beats Indianapolis, and it'll be a little low scoring. It won't be 39-36. I say 21-18 or 21-16, whatever it is. They win. Washington, the New York Giants, the Commanders get another win. I think there's a second win of the season. They beat the Giants after the Giants just couldn't. The week prior, I said Pittsburgh was going to win, and forgive me, folks. This podcast is not all one setting. It's a combination. So you'll have to excuse me if I don't remember what I did, and it was a few hours. I had to update the system. And again, this podcast is not done all the way through. It is combined. So Normally, 99% of the time, my podcasts are uh, one straight setting or one straight uh, scenario. So it's not like a bunch of different times I do uh, things. So this may be the first ever podcast that's not been straight through. Who knows? Maybe they took a break. I find it hard to believe that no podcasts in the history of podcasts they didn't take a break and then you know combine it. So unless it's live, of course, and then of course you would have to do one interval or one scenario or one thing, one long stream. So, but again, this is not live, and Washington New York Giants. So yeah, I'll take the Washington Commanders on the road, and they get a W at the New York Giants. New Orleans at Carolina. New Orleans will beat Carolina on the road. I think Carolina beat them the first prediction is Carolina beats New Orleans on their place, so New Orleans gets revenge at Carolina. Denver at Baltimore. Yes, the Ravens win, and this probably won't even be that close. The Ravens are really cooking at this point. The Broncos probably win 34-13, 34-17. They just find a way to really take it to the Broncos. Chicago at Arizona. I'll go with Arizona in this one. Arizona finally wins a home game. And maybe it's their first win of the season. So, yeah, Arizona beats Chicago. They beat Chicago Bears. And it'll be a close game. Say 28-24. Maybe a goal line stand at the end. Huh? That'd be kind of cool. Detroit at Green Bay. Packers at home. They're on a little bit of a losing streak, and Detroit will continue that losing streak for Green Bay. Detroit wins, and this will be like a 31-20 game, and the Lions win at Green Bay. Remember, for a while there, for a long time, they couldn't win at Green Bay, and it was like 24 years, and it was crazy. And they finally beat them in was it 2015 or something like that, where Detroit finally got the W at Green Bay, and it like I say, and it happens again. They've actually won at Green Bay quite a number of times since then. So Detroit wins that game. Los Angeles at Seattle. Los Angeles Rams at the Seahawks. The Rams win against the Seahawks at Seattle's 12th man. This is again the last afternoon game. Well, it was an afternoon game scheduled before the Sunday night games. It shows in the schedule. That's kind of irrelevant, but the Rams will beat the Seahawks in Seattle. Jacksonville at Philadelphia. Philadelphia will win against Jacksonville. I think they're going to pressure. It's a Sunday night game again. Philadelphia will pressure Trevor Lawrence, get some pressure. They'll stop their offense. And Philadelphia just kind of takes it to Jacksonville. I think Philadelphia has a mission this year because they were embarrassed last year where they were at a Super Bowl run in 22 and then 23 it was out. They started out hot and they just went cold. So I think Philadelphia's going to be really focused this year, and they're going to be really good. I think, and they should beat Jacksonville, Tampa Bay at Kansas City, Tampa Bay at Kansas City. This is going to be a tough game, and this will be a really close game. I think, but I think Kansas City wins, and it'll probably be a touchdown or a game-winning field goal. Who knows? But I think Kansas City wins that game. And moving on to Week 10. Week 10 of the NFL season. Cincinnati at Baltimore. Cincinnati only has one loss, and that's at home, but they get their second loss on the road at Baltimore. I still say Cincinnati wins the AFC North. Baltimore wins in a really low-scoring, well, maybe not a low-scoring game, but it'll be like 21-13. The Ravens just win the game and they beat the Bengals. That's the Thursday night game. Then they play a game on Sunday, the following November 10th, 2024. The Giants at the Panthers. Well, it's technically not at the Panthers because it's in Germany. Yes, Giants and the Panthers. I'm going to go with the Giants with this one. Giants find a way to beat the Panthers, and they beat them by 2 touchdowns. And New England at Chicago in the mainland. Chicago has a win in this one against New England. Chicago. Caleb Williams has a really good day, and the receiver. I should really check the receiver's name. I can't remember what his name was, but it's not like Nelson or Smith or anything. It's one of those names. It's a pretty cool name, but they win. They win big against the Patriots. Uh, but Drake May should have a decent game. And yes, at this, I'm just predicting that Drake May plays. Buffalo at Indianapolis. Buffalo wins at the Colts. And Buffalo just doesn't have any problems with Indianapolis. However, Indianapolis will run the ball at them, and Buffalo last few seasons have not, it's not that they have the best rush defense, and I think the Colts will have some rushing because they have pretty decent offensive line and Jonathan Taylor. Their running back will run it at them, but Buffalo, again, you need to have passing yards in order to get the ball downfield because eventually the rush defense will. They're almost like bend don't break defenses when these rush defenses, because with these rush defenses, some are bad, but are not that maybe not dominant, but they're actually pretty good against the run. So when it comes down, when they need to be, and Buffalo is one of those teams that is more predicated on stopping the pass versus the run. They're built their secondary is really good, but their front seven they can get to the quarterback, but it just seems like they can't. And Indianapolis has a really good offensive line, and I think Jonathan Taylor will have a big game. But I think Buffalo just finds a way. Um, the Buffalo quarterback, gee, many Christmas, Josh. Jeez, oh, good grief! I am terrible. I apologize, Buffalo. The Buffalo quarterback getting, the cover on Madden 24. He'll have a really big game, and they find a way to win 34-20. And the Buffalo, I can't even. It's like this. You name on the tip of your tongue, and you're like, what? Anyway, Denver at Kansas City. Denver at Kansas City. Kansas City wins. Denver beat them last year, but I think Kansas, and it was actually pretty close. A lot of these games were kind of close. Last year was like 15-point win for Kansas City, and then I think like it was a weird like 19-8 game. Denver beat Kansas City, but I think this year Kansas City just takes it to them and wins like 36-14. Kansas City wins big. Atlanta at New Orleans. New Orleans is going to win because everybody's expecting Atlanta to win, and New Orleans finds a way to win. And it's a game where Atlanta shouldn't lose this game, but they do. And that's what the Falcons. They lose at the Saints. And last year, I think Atlanta did lose, and it was like they ran up the score because they didn't have respect for the Saints ran up the score. And, but it was one of those games where, I said Josh, so it's Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills, and good grief. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Atlanta at New Orleans. New Orleans wins this game, and it probably won't be a blowout like last year, but they win a close game. San Francisco at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay gets the W against San Francisco. A lot of people think San Francisco's going to be good this year, but they might have that Super Bowl hangover, that Super Bowl loss hangover. Now, they go to Tampa Bay, and then Tampa Bay finds a way to win. They just do. And Pittsburgh at Washington. Pittsburgh denies Washington's. They just won 2 back-to-back games, but Pittsburgh denies Washington a third win in a row. Pittsburgh wins. Minnesota at Jacksonville. Jacksonville will have a big game from Trevor Lawrence and good running, and they have a good team. And I think this is a game where Jacksonville absolutely destroys the Vikings on this day, and they will win 42-14. I know it's a big gap, but I think Jacksonville will do it. Tennessee Titans at Los Angeles Chargers. Titans probably don't have the best offense, and they're not going to be able to stop Los Angeles Chargers offense, the defense that is. So the Tennessee Titans defense will not be successful in this day. Chargers take it to the Titans big time, 49-20. Philadelphia at Dallas. Philadelphia just coming, they're playing strong, but they play a division rival. The Cowboys get the W against the Eagles because, well, obviously it's a new season, but historically they've been playing pretty tough. They play the Eagles tough. And the Giants too. They do well in divisional games, Dallas. And no different in this day. Dallas beats Philadelphia. New York Jets at Arizona. New York Jets get back on the winning track, and they demolish the Cardinals. Put up 38 on them, win 38-20 on the road in the desert in Glendale, Arizona at State Farm Stadium. Detroit at Houston. Detroit wins. And they find a way to win. They come back and win this game 30-27. Now, the Monday night matchup. Miami Dolphins at Los Angeles Rams inter conference matchup. The Rams win in a shootout against the Dolphins. 41-36, let's say, or 42-36, and maybe overtime. Who knows? They win though. The byes are Cleveland, Green Bay, Las Vegas, and Seattle. So that's week 10. Week 11. Moving on. Week 11, the Thursday night matchup, Washington Commanders at Philadelphia. Philadelphia will get a W, and they will run over the Washington Commanders after they had a bad loss against the Cowboys. Not a terrible loss, but just a loss that lose. Again, they focus and they get a W and a convincing 36-6 rout over the Commanders. Green Bay at Chicago. Despite a first half where Caleb Williams hooks up with his receiver, 3 touchdowns, Green Bay comes back with Jordan Love and do damage to the Bears defense by passing, and Jordan Love runs for 2 touchdowns, rushing. Finds a way to win. They find a way to win 42-28. Jacksonville at Detroit. These are going to be a potential Super Bowl matchup. But Jacksonville beats Detroit in a really close game, 31-28 over the Lions. The Minnesota Vikings travel to Tennessee, Nissan Stadium. The Tennessee Titans cannot stop J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy throws Justin Jefferson, and Aaron Jones rushes for 4 touchdowns. Vikings do what the Jacksonville did to the Titans, and they win 41-13 over the Titans. Vikings win big. Las Vegas Raiders at Miami. Miami will rebound after getting beat by the Rams in overtime, and they will pound Las Vegas 55-19. Los Angeles Rams at New England Patriots. New England Patriots upset the Los Angeles Rams in overtime and win 41-35 because, again, their defense is not as good as what they probably should be, but that's the only question mark going in the season. The Los Angeles Rams offense is spectacular. Is their defense spectacular? No, but I still think they're going to be good. New England Patriots. Drake May has a field day, and they run the ball, they pass the ball to play a complete game, and after the game, Gerard Mayo, the New England coach, says, "I'm so proud of this team." And rightfully so, he should be. After the Patriots beat the Rams at home in overtime, 41-35. Cleveland at New Orleans. The Cleveland Browns at New Orleans. This was a Christmas Day in 2022 they played, and I think the Saints won on the road, like 19-6 or 19-9. I don't know what it was. But Cleveland beats New Orleans on the road, and they win. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh beat Baltimore when Baltimore had their starters out. Not going to happen this time. Baltimore beats Pittsburgh on the road quite handily. I think Baltimore, the Ravens are going to be one of those teams that have the most blowout wins. And they win 48-21 over Pittsburgh. Atlanta at Denver. Excuse me, I apologize. Atlanta at Denver. Denver finds a way to beat Atlanta. They stop Kirk Cousins. They don't stop him, they contain him. Let's put it that way. Denver win against Atlanta. Seattle at San Francisco. San Francisco upset about losing the week prior. Seattle comes into town and beats them 19-17. Kansas City at Buffalo. This game will be a revenge factor for Buffalo. Buffalo gets the revenge against Kansas City. Buffalo will win 37-35. They get a last-second field goal, and they actually make it, and they win 37-35 over the Chiefs. Cincinnati Bengals at Los Angeles Chargers. Cincinnati Bengals go into L.A. and put a whooping on the Chargers, and their defense holds Justin Herbert to just one touchdown. And they hold their rushing attack in check, and they win pretty handily. I say they put up a lot of points. Joe Burrow has a fantastic game, and Jamar Chase just absolutely has an amazing game. Kenny Mixon runs all over. I think Kenny Mixon's still a running back, but there's a couple other running backs. Might be wrong on that, but Cincinnati beats Los Angeles pretty handily, 42-10. I know it's on the road, and it's a bold prediction, but they win 42-10. Indianapolis at New York Jets. Sunday night game. The Jets beat the Colts. Colts, again, will have a nice rushing attack, but they just don't do enough in the passing game, and they fall short 42-27. Monday night matchup. Houston, the Battle of Texas. Houston Texans at Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys win. They upset well, it's not an upset, but record-wise, it's an upset. They win. Beat them. What's going to be the score? I don't know. I'll move on. The buys for this week are the New York Giants, Arizona Cardinals, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Carolina Panthers. That was week 11. Week 12, Thursday night matchup, Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Pittsburgh gets an upset win at Cleveland. Well, record-wise anyway. Pittsburgh wins against Cleveland 24-16. Minnesota at Chicago. Chicago Bears defense steps at the plate. They make J.J. McCarthy not look good. J.J. McCarthy is from the Chicago area and doesn't have a good homecoming. Chicago Bears win and a shutout. They win 28-0 at home against the Vikings. Detroit at Indianapolis. Detroit stops the Colts' rushing attack, and the Colts don't have much of a passing attack as much as their rushing game. Unless they, again, signed a player, who knows. But Detroit matches up well with Indianapolis and wins 35-13 at the Colts. New England at Miami. Miami wins in a close game, 27-26, and a game where Miami thinks they should just roll, but New England, again, is on a hot streak after winning one game or two games. Well, whatever it was. After Gerard Mayer says he's proud of his team, they just can't quite make it. They miss a field goal at the end, a short distance field goal. These scenarios will not probably happen, so don't take too much stock into what I actually have to say. Tampa Bay at New York Giants. The next one, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield has a really good day. The offensive line wears on the New York Giants. Dexter Lawrence versus Graham Barton will be a classic matchup against offensive line and defensive tackle. Tampa Bay beats the New York Giants. Next game is going to be Dallas at Washington. Dallas at Washington. I'm going to go with Dallas. Dallas beats Washington quite handily. Dak Prescott CeeDee Lamb, they're all going to have a big game, and they destroy the Commanders on well, a really bad game by the Reds Commanders defense. You didn't hear that. The Commanders defense, and it used to be their name, the Redskins. So, but the Washington Commanders get destroyed. Dallas goes in there and whoops them 45-6. I know it's a big gap, but hey, it's a prediction. Kansas City at Carolina. Kansas City goes in there and really focused, and Carolina just can't match up with them. And Bryce Young just can't find anybody open. The Kansas City defensive backs play really well, and they win. Kansas City wins 37-3 over the Panthers. Tennessee Titans at Houston Texans. Houston Texans get back to the winning ways, and they beat the Titans 40-7. Yes, the Titans just cannot seem to have a good season. They shouldn't have let Matt Vrabel go. The players just didn't like that move. So, not that Derrick Henry's playing with Ravens, hey, but they just can't seem to do anything against the Houston Texans, and they win 40-7. Say, Denver at Las Vegas. Denver always seems to have a little bit of an issue with the Vegas Raiders, and I don't see that changing. And they split each other a couple times. They'll split in a series for a long time. Denver just owned Las Vegas for a while ago, but the Vegas Raiders will find a way to win in this game, 16-13. Broncos will have a costly turnover towards the end where they're driving. They were trying to get in the field goal range, but they just fumble or throw an interception. We'll see. Yeah. Hope not, but San Francisco at Green Bay. Green Bay goes on to get revenge in that divisional playoff game against the San Francisco 49ers. Green Bay whoops San Francisco 39-14. Arizona at Seattle. Seattle puts up 50 on Arizona, 57-12. I know, big gaps. I realize it. Philadelphia Eagles at Los Angeles Rams. The Eagles going to beat the Rams because the Rams don't have much of a defense in this game. And the Eagles roll over the Rams 38-14. And the Monday night matchup, and that was a Sunday night game, obviously. Well, not obviously. So, Baltimore at Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers put it together and find a way to upset the Ravens on the road because the Chargers just have a little bit of heart. Jim Harbaugh just motivates them to. He finds a way to reach them, and the Chargers just find a way to beat the Ravens. It might be an off day by Lamar Jackson, and it might be an off day by their defense too. Their defense just finds a way to miss some tackles, and special teams might hurt. They might do some bad things on special teams. The Chargers just find a way to win. I don't know what the score is going to be. I don't know the score. It's all predictions anyway, and I don't know what the score is actually going to be on any of them. So, the byes: Atlanta, Buffalo, Cincinnati, New Orleans, New York Jets, and Jacksonville. And that is Week 12. Moving on to Week 13, folks. It's getting closer to the podcast concluding. So, yes, Thursday, there's 3 games. And you know why that is? It's Thanksgiving. So, you got that Chicago at Detroit matchup. Detroit finally is able to put a game against the Bears on Detroit messes up Chicago, and their defense steps up to the plate and really does an amazing job, and they win 33-3 over the Bears. Are these gaps? You probably know this is just a prediction, obviously, because you never have these much of a blowout, but you never know because last year If you go by last year, there was a lot of blowouts. So Chicago at Detroit, except the Super Bowl's good though, and the NFC, the AFC Championship games were pretty decent, pretty close. Chicago at Detroit again. Yeah, I just got done saying the score. I'm sorry, 33-3 over the Bears. The Lions win. New York Giants at Dallas. Dallas is fighting for the playoff lives at this point. They destroy the Giants again, and Dallas puts up 56 points on the Giants. Well, the Giants put up 27, and you know they'll have a big game offensively to Dallas. Both teams will have a big game offensively, but Dallas will just pull away in the second half. Miami at Green Bay. That's a weird Thursday night matchup, but Green Bay finds a way to win in a close game, 27-24 game against the Dolphins. Then a Friday night matchup, and that will be at Kansas City. Kansas City lost to Las Vegas last year in a game. It was 20-14, I believe, and that was their last loss for the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City wins pretty big. They win 34-7 over the Vegas Raiders. In the Sunday matchups, Los Angeles Chargers at Atlanta. Los Angeles trying to have hope for the playoffs at this point. They go to Atlanta and win. And Atlanta has a chance towards the end to drive, and they throw an interception. And the Chargers beat the Falcons. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Pittsburgh cannot move the ball in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's defense is playing so well at this point, and their offense is clicking. Their special teams are doing good. The Bengals win 38-10 over Pittsburgh. Arizona at Minnesota. Arizona just doesn't know how to win at Minnesota. And again, after getting beat 28-0 the week prior at the Bears, I will say that Minnesota comes back and puts it together. J.J. McCarthy has a great day. Finds Justin Jefferson for 3 touchdowns on a 35-17 win. The Vikings beat the Cardinals. Indianapolis, but in that game, they come back. It's going to be like 17-14 at halftime. Vikings come back and win 35-17 over them. Indianapolis at New England. Indianapolis puts a game together and puts a passing game together because New England's loading up to stop the run, because the Colts are probably going to be one of the better rush teams this year on the offensive rush teams. And New England will try to load up to stop the run, but the Colts will find a way to pass on them and pass on them big time. And they just find a way to just have mismatches with the Patriots, and they win handily, blow them out, 47-17. Seattle goes all the way across country and upsets the New York Jets. Well, not upset. Beats the New York Jets to keep their playoff chances alive and win 30-29 in a 1-point game. Tennessee Titans at Washington. The Titans put a game together, and the Titans, Will Levis scores on a 70-yard touchdown with 2 seconds left to play, and they beat the Commanders 31-26 in a game where Washington has a 26-7 lead. But the Titans come back and win. Houston at Jacksonville. Houston Texans at Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville gets back on the winning ways, and this is for the AFC South lead at this point. So Jacksonville beats Houston 37-20. Los Angeles Rams at New Orleans. Los Angeles doesn't have the best defense at this point, but they have a good offense, and New Orleans just, at this point, they're not going to make the playoffs. They just kind of have a give up. They don't particularly like their coach. And the Los Angeles Rams just put up a lot of points, and they win 53-27. Tampa Bay at Carolina. Carolina keeping their slim chances alive. Tampa Bay goes in there and takes it to them, and they win 32-16. So they double them up, beat them by 16 points, 32-16. Philadelphia at Baltimore. This could be a potential Super Bowl matchup, Super Bowl preview. Baltimore finds a way and plays a lot better and wins this game in a upset in a way that would not an upset, but a 28-7 game where Jalen Hurts just doesn't have a Dallas Goddard just and AJ Brown. They keep him on the check, and the Ravens find a way to win 28-7. And the next game is a Sunday night game: San Francisco at Buffalo. San Francisco, with their division on the line, they're playing the Rams. They know that their pressure's on them. They find a way to win in a game at Buffalo, 29-25 on a last possession touchdown. Buffalo is driving, and Buffalo can't quite get a touchdown. The 49ers put pressure on Josh Allen to create a turnover. 49ers win 29-25. Monday night matchup, Cleveland at the Denver Broncos. Cleveland goes to Denver and wins 27-19. And they do a good job, and they keep the Broncos. And I think at this point, the Broncos are probably eliminated from the playoffs, and Cleveland keeps their hopes alive. Week 14. Yes, week 14, friends. If you made it this far, you're amazing. And, I'm sorry, I apologize. The buys for the week 13 are going to be, well, there is no buys. So they don't have a buy in week 13, but they have buys in week 14. Okay. I'll go with the buys in week 14. Denver Broncos, Indianapolis Colts, New England Patriots, Washington Commanders, Baltimore Ravens, and the Houston Texans have buys in the week 14, even though week 13 didn't have any buys. Go figure. Green Bay at Detroit. The battle for the NFC North. Detroit's on a winning streak here with only 1 or 2 losses at this point. Green Bay wins at Detroit because Detroit beat them at home, but Green Bay finds a way to win at Detroit, at Ford Field, and the offense finds a way to put up 39 points on Detroit, and they win 39-28 at the Lions. Sunday games. Jacksonville at Tennessee. Jacksonville beats the Titans. After the Titans realize their season's pretty much done, they don't go and play, but Jacksonville has something to play for. Jacksonville is motivated because they know that there's some teams like the Ravens and the Bengals in the AFC, and the Chiefs too they're up there, and they want to get a nice seed for the playoffs. They win against the Titans 44-6. They destroy him. The Titans do get a touchdown, but they just miss the extra point. That's going to be their day. New York Jets at Miami. The New York Jets just can't find a way to beat Miami, and they have a lead. They have a 2-touchdown lead, and Miami comes back, and Tua Tagovailoa, I think that's how I pronounce his last name, scores a game-winning touchdown by running it in from 35 yards out. Atlanta at Minnesota. Kirk Cousins returns to the Vikings, and he does damage to the Vikings. The Vikings want to stop him so much and play good against Atlanta, but Kirk Cousins just finds ways to pass on him. And the secondary just cannot stop their receivers for Atlanta. Atlanta rolls. But J.G. McCarthy and Justin Jefferson have a big game but they just can't quite win. Atlanta wins 45-34. New Orleans at New York Giants. These two teams are not playing for anything. They're only playing for pride. And again, the New York Giants want to play for pride better, and they win. Or historically, these games have been shootouts between the New York Giants and the New Orleans Saints. But this time it's going to be probably not so much. Giants win 27-16 over the Saints. Carolina at Philadelphia. Philadelphia puts a complete game together and wallops Carolina because Carolina knows they're pretty much done for the playoffs at this point. Philadelphia, again, they want to win the division, and they really want to get a number 1 seed in the NFC, but they're pulled away in the division by beating Carolina 42-6 at home. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh gets the win against Cleveland, and they do it because Mason Rudolph will show some magic and just have a really good game because, every once in a while he has really, really good games, and they beat the Browns. They win, and they actually will win big. The week before they lose was I predicted them 38-10 against. I think that was the week before. It might have been the week. Check here. Yeah, they lose 38-10 the week before. They come back and win 37-7 against Cleveland. Cleveland just has a bad game, and they just can't put anything together against Pittsburgh. And yeah, Las Vegas Raiders at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay wins against the Raiders, and they win soundly 31-13 over the Vegas Raiders. Seattle at Arizona. Seattle looking to keep their playoff hopes alive. Lose to the hapless Arizona Cardinals on a last-second touchdown. Let's just go last possession touchdown. That's so melodramatic. I'm making this into a melodramatic prediction. I present this like I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I actually do. I know my stuff when it comes to gridiron football. So Seattle just doesn't. They don't finish. They just don't keep focused, and Arizona finds a way to win. And yes, they win big. The quarterback, the short quarterback. He's not 5'10". He's anyway. He's probably about 5'7", but he's good. And he has a big game, and Arizona just wins. They just find a way to win. Buffalo, Los Angeles Rams. Buffalo just doesn't have a defense in this game, and Los Angeles Rams, their playoff hopes are their division hope is to win the NFC West, and they beat the Buffalo Bills 37-26. Chicago Bears at San Francisco. San Francisco is battling the Rams to get that division lead after Seattle lost to Arizona, and Los Angeles beat the Rams, or Seattle after the Los Angeles Rams beat the Buffalo Bills. The 49ers know that the Rams they won, and even though they act like they don't know, they go in. Chicago comes into town, and it's going to be a little bit of a suspect start for San Francisco. They get down 10-0 after Caleb Williams throws an awesome touchdown pass to the University of Washington rookie. And but San Francisco comes back and wins 27-17. The Sunday night game, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs take it to the Los Angeles Chargers. Chiefs defense steps up, holds Justin Jefferson to only under 250 yards passing, and they win 37-16. Monday night matchup, Cincinnati at Dallas. Dallas knows that their playoff hopes are on the line. They play well, but they just can't find a win against the Bengals. Bengals win 41-24 at Dallas. Moving on to Week 15. All right, Los Angeles Rams at San Francisco 49ers. The battle? No, the winner of this game more than likely will win the division. Brock Purdy steps to the plate and has a good game. I can't say in all seriousness that the 49ers don't win the division. They win the division. But they don't win the division this game because at this point, maybe they're a game up. Whatever I said with the wins and losses, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just going to tell you who I think at the end of if I made mistakes and I made errors on the wins and you tallied the wins. Oh, you said that this team would win a division, but you predicted them to win more. See, I don't have a notepad right in front of me saying, okay, I'm going to predict, or I have the wins and losses. And, I don't have it that way. I'll just tell you who I think is going to win, and when the playoffs come and all that, Hope you understood what I was saying there. Like I say, I might have made some errors on if I say that the 49ers are going to win, I say the Rams won more games by predicting them. I'll take the blame, but I'll just say who's going to win the division. So the 49ers beat the Rams on a Thursday night matchup, December 12th. Win big. 2 touchdowns. Sunday, okay, Kansas City at Cleveland. Kansas City knows they have to battle for a playoff spot as a number 1 seed. So they're playing against the Bengals and the Ravens as the number 1 seed. But Kansas City's already won a division. They clinched the division at this point by beating the Browns at Cleveland, and they win 38-17. They really play really well. Patrick Mahomes has an awesome day passing, and Isaiah Pacheco has a really. I think he's with the Chiefs. I don't think he went anywhere else. I think Chris Jones went somewhere else, maybe, but a defensive tackle. But Kansas City, they run it at Cleveland, and they beat Cleveland 38-17. Cincinnati goes to Tennessee, and their defense steps up. It's more like the Titans don't have an offense, and they don't really have a great defense. The Bengals destroy them. They win pretty soundly, 38-3. Joe Burrow, fantastic day. Jamar Chase, fantastic day. The running game, their defense plays good. They just make Tennessee Titans look silly. Will Levis doesn't get any time, and they just don't. Yeah. Washington at New Orleans. The Saints win against the Commanders because, well, the Commanders aren't that great of an NFL team. And they win in going away fashion, I guess, 37-22. I don't know. They win. Baltimore at New York Giants. This is going to be a tough game. Baltimore knows that they have to do something, but the Giants, Saquon Barkley has a monster day. Yes, against the Ravens defense. It's one of those games where they just Daniel Jones just plays well. And Saquon Barkley plays really well. And it's going to be an anomaly where the Ravens defense is really good all year, but Saquon Barkley just does well, rushes for 180 yards and wins. And that's going to be the Ravens' worst rush defense performance against the Giants. Just a strange game where New York kind of wins handily, 34-27 over the Giants. Dallas at Carolina. Dallas pulls away. They're playing really good at this point. Will they make the playoffs? They beat Carolina. And Carolina's officially, at this point, I think, eliminated from winning division and playoff contention. And Dallas wins 35-20. Carolina. New York Jets. Apologies. New York Jets at Jacksonville. New York Jets are kind of going the other way, the other direction, and they don't do well against Jacksonville. Jacksonville is poised, and they have a lot to play for, and so do the Jets, but their slim playoff hopes kind of dissolve. Jacksonville rolls over the New York Jets. Trevor Lawrence has a monster game. I think Travis Etienne is the running back. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Maybe. Hard to keep track. They win going away 46-17. Miami at Houston. Miami goes into Houston and keeps their hopes alive for an AFC East title. They beat the Texans. Now, the Texans, at this point, AFC South is not doing the best, but Jacksonville's almost won the division by beating the Jets, and the Dolphins beat the Houston Texans, so that almost is a lock for Jacksonville. They have to win one or two more games, and they basically have to, Houston would have to win out, and Jacksonville have to lose out in order to, at this point, to make to win the AFC South. So Miami beats Houston. Indianapolis at Denver. Indianapolis goes to Denver and puts up another. A week prior, they go on to they had a bye. The week prior, they had a bye. The last game they played against the Patriots, and they Well, they passed the ball well. So this time they just go to Denver and they play really well running the ball. And Denver has a really strong defense, but just cannot quite contain Jonathan Taylor. And Indianapolis finds a way to run the ball against Denver, and they win a low scoring game. I'll say this: uh, 20-17 over Denver, the Colts. Not necessarily a low scoring game, but it's considering there's higher scoring games. Buffalo at Detroit. This could be a Super Bowl preview. And Detroit steps up the plate and really makes Buffalo kind of look. I think the last time they played was it a Thanksgiving Day, maybe? And Buffalo won in overtime, or was that in 22? Yeah, that was actually in 22, where Buffalo won, I think, in a really close game. But Detroit, they've really find a way to really take it to Buffalo, and they win 37-13. That's Detroit's really playing well at this time. But that puts Miami puts pressure on Buffalo because Miami wins against Houston, and Buffalo gets beat by Detroit. So at this point, I say they're tied for AFC East lead. Pittsburgh at Philadelphia. The Battle of Pennsylvania goes to the Eagles. Eagles roll. They play really well. They win 38-14 against the in-state rival. New England at Arizona. They go all the way across the country, and New England finds a way to win and move the ball against Arizona's hapless defense. They have good defensive players, but New England just finds a way with Drake May. They put it together, and they win 38-21. After the game, Jerron Mayo says he's so proud of the team. That's not the only coach that says that, I guess. Tampa Bay at Los Angeles. Tampa Bay Buccaneers go to the Chargers. And Tampa Bay has a big game, and they pass the ball and run the ball against that Chargers prone defense. And they win in a shootout, 39-34. Green Bay at Seattle. Seattle has to have a lot happen for them in this game. But Green Bay just goes to Seattle and wins. In a game, 38-24, in a game they just control. And it officially kind of moves Seattle out of the even the wild card spot, or with a playoff seed. I guess technically the 6 teams in the conferences have a wild card. Well, technically they don't, but only one team gets a bye anyway in the playoffs for both conferences. Green Bay beat Seattle 38-24. Jordan Love. It's an awesome game, a monster game, and they quiet the 12th man there in Seattle. Chicago at Minnesota. As you know, Chicago, I believe I said they lost 20. Chicago beat the Bears beat the Vikings 28-0 at home. This is the winter whiteout for the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings absolutely obliterate the Chicago Bears. They put up 59 points in this game, and they beat the Bears 59-18. They just absolutely stunned the Bears. J.J. McCarthy has 470 yards passing. Justin Jefferson has like 225 yards receiving. Aaron Jones had a monster day, and the Vikings defense gets after Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams just can't do anything except a couple late touchdowns and make it actually look better than the score was. They will score 40 points at the first half of Vikings and just have a monster game. Those winter whiteout uniforms will inspire the Vikings to play really well. Atlanta at Las Vegas. Again, folks, these are predictions, but not the winter whiteout uniforms. That's actually going to happen. So Atlanta at Las Vegas. Atlanta wins at Las Vegas. Las Vegas knows that they're dwindling playoff hopes. Of just a lot has to happen. Everybody has to lose pretty much that they want to lose, and they don't. You know how that works, and it's just very, very. Atlanta keeps pressure on Tampa Bay when they're watching the game. Because Tampa Bay just won at Los Angeles, so You know, and anyway, that's week 15 for you. Atlanta goes in. If you want to score, I'll say 32 to 23 over the Raiders. Atlanta wins that game. Week 16. Yes, week 16 is coming up. Okay. So there's a Thursday night game and a Saturday game. So you have two Saturday games. So this is where the NFL plays Saturday games now. They've always done this towards the end of the season. So Cleveland at Cincinnati. Cleveland needs to keep their playoff hopes alive, and Cincinnati obliterates Cleveland 49-14. Cincinnati is playing so wonderful at this point. They're just playing really good. They're playing to their Super Bowl and their AFC Championship game. They're playing their 21-22 form, so they're playing really well at this point. Then Saturday, December 21st, 2024, Houston at Kansas City. Houston goes to Kansas City and wins. Yes, wins at their place. They win 29-26. Houston beats the Chiefs in a major upset. Then Pittsburgh goes to Baltimore. Baltimore pressured. They're trailing the Bengals, so they have to win. And they do in overtime over the Pittsburgh Steelers. They find a way to win in a sloppy game. Could be a snowy game at that point. All these could be snowy games. And at this point, Baltimore wins in overtime, 16-10. After the game, John Harbaugh says, we won the game, so I guess that's good. But we have a lot of work to do, he says. That's my prediction, too. So, yes, Sunday games, December 22nd, 2024, New York Giants at Atlanta Falcons. New York Giants know their playoff hopes are done. Atlanta playing for their playoff hopes. And NFC South crowd, they just don't find a way to win against New York Giants. New York Giants play spoiler again. Well, again, I guess. They beat Atlanta. Atlanta's defense could not stop Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is playing for an MVP season of 2024. They win 38-35 at Atlanta. New England at Buffalo. Buffalo defense steps up to the plate, and they don't play against one of the best league's offenses, but they just make a mockery of them when 34-7 over New England, and Buffalo really plays well and wins. After the game, Gerard Mayo says he's still proud of his team for scoring a touchdown. No, I'm just kidding. He never says that. I don't think any coach would say that after getting beat 34-7. So, yes. Detroit at Chicago. Detroit is still getting pressure from Green Bay. So they realize they have to go to Chicago and win, and they do in a low-scoring game. Their defense steps up. Chicago's offense doesn't play that well, and Detroit's offense doesn't play that well either. Detroit wins 16-6 over Chicago. Tennessee Titans know that their season is done at Indianapolis. Indianapolis runs the ball and runs the ball and runs the ball and wins 47-24 over the Titans. The hapless Titans, that is. Los Angeles Rams at New York Giants. The Los Angeles Rams know they have to win in order to have the chance of the NFC West crown, but they just don't have the defense. Aaron Rodgers is playing, yes, and the New York Jets just put points after points after points on them. I think like in 2020, wasn't it the Jets' first win against the Rams? Yes, I think it was, yes. And then in 24 here, they put up 51 points and beat the Rams 51-23. Yes, the Rams don't look good on defense. Philadelphia at Washington. Philadelphia goes to Washington and wins 42-0. I know the big gaps. It's highly unlikely these big gaps happen, but Philadelphia finds a way to crush the Commanders, absolutely destroys them 42-0. And with that win, they win the NFC East. Arizona at Carolina. Carolina. This will be like a game where it will be a shootout, and Carolina throws a late interception. Arizona returns it and wins 42-35, or Carolina's up, and they do like a safe pass, but Bryce Young throws an interception where it's tipped, and one of the Cardinals linebackers returns it for a touchdown against Carolina and makes the Carolina Panthers mad, and they win 42-35. But both teams have officially eliminated Carolina. Arizona's already eliminated at this point for the playoff contention. Denver at Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers keeping their playoff hopes alive because they could be one of the teams that them, along with obviously the Chiefs. So the Chiefs at this point win the division, even though they lost to Houston because Los Angeles. What? Yeah, the Chiefs already officially won the division. Actually, technically, they don't. Because Kansas City has to win one more game, but Los Angeles Chargers, I'll just give you the prediction. Los Angeles beats Denver in a big game, 47-26. Minnesota at Seattle. Minnesota just doesn't do well against Seattle, but they are inspired after their 59-18 win, and they go and beat Seattle by 1 point. Yes, 14-13 on the road, and this officially eliminates Seattle from playoff competition. Jacksonville at Las Vegas. Jacksonville doesn't miss a beat. They don't miss a step, and they absolutely destroy Las Vegas. Jacksonville, a really good team, amazing team. Their special teams even steps up. They win this game and blow up 37-7, 37-8, I'll say, against the Raiders. San Francisco at Miami. Yes, San Francisco historically has done pretty well against Miami, but they don't win the division. The Rams lost against the Jets, so the 49ers have a chance to win the division. They lose against Miami. Yes, Miami wins 20-16. Tampa Bay at Dallas. Dallas keeps their playoff hopes alive with a win over Tampa Bay. Yes, the NFC South is not looking that good. Dallas wins handily, 30-10 over Tampa Bay. Monday night matchup: New Orleans at Green Bay. New Orleans is eliminated. Green Bay has a lot to play for. They're even playing catch up against the Lions, and they still have a chance to win the division. They come away with another win at home, Lambeau Field. They destroy New Orleans, and they destroy them pretty soundly. They win 43-21 over New Orleans. Oh, that was week 16. Moving on, 2 more weeks. Week 17. Week 17, yes. So, Wednesday, December 25th, Christmas Day. So, Kansas City at Pittsburgh. Kansas City with a loss last week, the week prior to Houston. They go to Pittsburgh. The first half was good, and it was a low-scoring first half, but Kansas City just opens up, and they go on to find a way to beat Pittsburgh, and they go on to win 33-14 over Pittsburgh. Baltimore at Houston. Baltimore has to win to keep up with Cincinnati, but Houston beats Baltimore at home. Houston putting the pressure on Jacksonville. Seattle at Chicago, Thursday, December 26th. Seattle beats the Bears after getting beat by 1 point the week prior. They go in there and win in a mini shootout In overtime, they win 30-24. Denver at Cincinnati. Denver just, at this point, they're not motivated enough. They realize the season is over. They're not playing for nothing, but they get motivated. The first quarter is tough, 3-0 Denver, but Cincinnati just pulls away and wins 34-3. Cincinnati, probably the most complete team at this point. They're just destroying Denver. Arizona at Los Angeles. Los Angeles has to win against Arizona, right? Arizona just got lucky the week prior. Arizona exploits the Los Angeles Rams. This is going to be probably the biggest shootout because in California at this point, there probably won't be snow because it's indoors. So Arizona and Los Angeles go into a really big shootout. It'll be the second game where it'll be 50 points for both teams. Arizona wins 59-56, makes the Rams look like they're just going backwards into a potential playoff at this point. Los Angeles played so well in the beginning of the season, but this time they just kind of start folding. Los Angeles Chargers at New England. The Chargers win, keep their playoff hopes alive. They obliterate New England 56-34. New England, Drake May has a great game, but New England's defense just lets him down, and Los Angeles has an amazing high-powered offense. Indianapolis at New York Giants. This game will be a battle of the best rushing teams for both conferences. Indianapolis will have the best rushing, and then New York Giants will have the second best. Battle of awesome running backs and awesome offensive line for Indianapolis, but New York Giants scoring a late second touchdown pass from Daniel Jones to Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley will be the team's league's MVP this year. Bold prediction. Will it happen? I don't know. Hopefully he plays all year. But the Giants eliminate the Colts from playoff competition. And they find a way to win. 35-29. Atlanta at Washington. Atlanta, they have to win, right? In order to have a chance against Tampa Bay, but Atlanta just finds a way. Washington's playing really good at this point. Washington finds a way to dominate Atlanta in a game. Wow. Washington wins 40-18, 40-17. Washington makes Atlanta look silly. New York Jets at Buffalo. Buffalo really playing well at this point. They have to really play well in order to advance in the playoffs. They really want to play well. They do. They destroy the Jets 55-20. And it's a game where the Jets just implode and the Bills just play really well. And Josh Allen has a career day. Green Bay at Minnesota. Minnesota won 2 in a row, but Green Bay has to keep up with Detroit. And Green Bay clinches a playoff spot against the Minnesota Vikings. They actually clinched probably the week prior. They win after getting beat at home against the Vikings. They go on to put up a game like they did last year where Jordan Love couldn't be stopped. Green Bay pulls away, beats the Packers. Yeah, they beat themselves. In the first quarter, they beat themselves with a couple of interceptions by Jordan Love. Well, actually, one interception. But they beat the Vikings at the Vikings soundly 44-25. Carolina at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay clinches the NFC South with a dominating fashion, 38-7 victory against Carolina. Next game, Titans. No, their season is done. Jacksonville. Players are Titans at this point. Will Levis is banged up. He's injured. They have their third string quarterback is in. They can't do nothing. Their running back is fumbleitis during the season. Jacksonville destroys Tennessee 38-3. Dallas at Philadelphia. Dallas beat Philadelphia the last game in my prediction, and Philadelphia gets revenge against Dallas quite handily. They destroy him 37-6. Dallas still has a chance at the playoffs. In fact, by way of other teams losing, they clinch a playoff spot. Miami at Cleveland. Miami has to have a good playoff or has to have a good showing in order to really have motive. I don't want to say momentum because again, momentum is questionable. They have to have a good win streak, which you can lose anytime. But they go to Cleveland and they win in a game where their defense doesn't play that well. Cleveland makes Miami's defense look not that they look suspect. Miami wins in a game 49-34 in a game that high scoring, but Miami wins. Detroit at San Francisco, the battle of last year's NFC Championship game. Well, this year's, but technically last season's NFC Championship game where Detroit blew that lead. They don't do it this week, and they don't do it. And the Los Angeles Rams are watching the game intently, and they realize that hey, we'll have San Francisco get beat. Detroit handles business, and they win quite comfortably. Brock Purdy throws 3 interceptions. Detroit, Jared Goff, and the running game just plays well. They win 27-6 at San Francisco. Week 17 concludes. Then week 18, getting down to the nitty gritty, folks. If you made it this far, then you are well, do you have anything else to watch or do you have anything else to listen to? Yeah. Don't you have any? There's plenty of movies to watch. There's plenty of shows to watch, but you choose to listen to this podcast. Thank you. Carolina at Atlanta. Atlanta and Carolina are both eliminated. Atlanta they lost, and there's no motivation to play. So Carolina wins at Atlanta 37-24. Carolina wins. Atlanta just didn't finish strong. Washington at Dallas. Dallas not going to win the division. They rest their players. They know that they actually make the playoffs by losing, but they get beat pretty soundly against the Commanders. Washington puts up 45, beats Dallas 45-15, going backwards in the playoffs. Dallas. Kansas City at Denver. Kansas City's not going to get beat by Denver on the road. They make a strong showing and win 35-0. Minnesota at Detroit. Detroit has to beat Minnesota, and they do. They win again against the Vikings. They win soundly 33-10. Chicago at Green Bay. And by the way, Detroit wins the NFC North. Chicago at Green Bay. Green Bay knows even if they win, they're not going to win the NFC North, but they've already clinched the playoff spot, and the coach decides to rest their players. Matt LaFleur decides to rest their players because he wants the players healthy. Chicago wins in a game where they're not playing against the starters, but they win in a game 21-17. Houston at Tennessee. Houston clinches a playoff spot. They don't clinch the division. So Tennessee plays against the backups. Tennessee finds a way to win. It's going to be a close game because the Titans just Will Levis is injured still at this point. I hope not, but honestly, it's a prediction, and you know that too. But Titans just don't win against Houston. Houston makes a statement, wins 28-0 at Tennessee. The hapless Titans just don't have a good season. Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Jacksonville already won the division. So what's the point of playing? But the coach says we need to play because we're not going to get the first round bye. So his logic and reason is, well, let's play, and they do. But Jacksonville beats Indianapolis 31-21, and they win. Trevor Lawrence doesn't get hurt because he goes out early in the first quarter. His coach changes his mind and says, look, we need to have our quarterback healthy. But Jacksonville still does good in their backup, and they find a way to beat Indianapolis and kind of slow down the Colts' rush offense. They win 31-21. Los Angeles at Las Vegas. Los Angeles clinched the playoff spot. They beat the Las Vegas Raiders soundly. Vegas, the hapless Vegas Raiders, get shut out 27-0. The Chargers play a complete game on defense. Actually, the first time that they have a shutout this year, first time they hold anybody under 10 all year long. Seattle, Los Angeles Rams have to play better, and they do. They even step up on defense and they win 34-16 over Seattle. Seattle's eliminated. Los Angeles Rams, all they have to do is have San Francisco lose. The San Francisco 49ers won't have a tiebreaker against the Rams, but if the 49ers lose, the Los Angeles Rams win the NFC West. Buffalo at New England. Buffalo has no problem with New England. Buffalo knows that they're about a third seed. Buffalo beats New England, and they have plenty of momentum, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I'll just say for the case of a win streak, they have a momentum/win streak. 32-6 at New England. Gerard Mayo still says he's proud of his guys. But Buffalo coach says, I know Gerard Mayo is going to be, I know Gerard Mayo is going to say good things about his team and he's proud of him, but I'm prouder, says the, he used to be the defensive coordinator for Philadelphia. Sean McCoy. Anyway, the coach for Buffalo says he's more prouder and he's proud of his team. They do. They play really well. Looks like they probably get a third seed. Well, so anyway, I got to move on. Miami at New York Jets. Miami just goes to New York Jets. They make a playoff. They have a playoff spot at this point, but they just don't. They get beat by the Jets, who were eliminated from the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers has a big day, and Miami's defense just doesn't look like they're going anywhere. The Miami's defense kind of gets shell-shocked against the Giants. The Giants put up 48. Dolphins score 30, but Dolphins clinch a playoff spot. New York Giants at Philadelphia. Philadelphia. All they have to do is win, and they get the number 2 seed. But the New York Giants, Saquon Barkley, NFL MVP, runs over Philadelphia, actually catches 2 touchdown passes, and doesn't have quite the rushing yards, but they find a way to win in a wild 27-23 game, and the Giants just missed the playoffs by just a little bit. Oh, they missed. San Francisco has to win at Arizona in order to win the division. Otherwise, the Rams win it. San Francisco gets beat at Arizona. Just some strange circumstances, a blocked punt, missed field goals by the 49ers, and just overall bad game. Arizona wins. They're out of the playoffs, but they find a way to win. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Cincinnati wins. If they win this game, they win the number 1 seed, and all they have to do is win. They own the tiebreaker with Baltimore, but they get beat at Pittsburgh 24-23. And so Cincinnati has to hope Baltimore loses. New Orleans at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay wins 35-6. They look like they're going to be the 4th seed of the NFC playoffs. Cleveland at Baltimore. Cleveland upsets Baltimore. Shocks Baltimore because Baltimore was playing so well. They had a chance to get the first round bye, but they don't. Cincinnati gets the first round bye. Doesn't even win the AFC North, and they don't even get. They have to be the number 5 seed. So going to the playoffs, they have to win from a number 1 seed. Could have been potentially with number 1 seed. Now they're a number 5 seed. So I don't know. I tell you what. This point, it'll probably be Cincinnati and Detroit, or Cincinnati and Philadelphia, or Buffalo, Philadelphia, or Buffalo, Detroit. At this point, I see the NFC teams either going to be Detroit or Philadelphia. Green Bay certainly has a chance, but I just don't see them quite making it. Detroit or Philadelphia, and Buffalo or Cincinnati. Kansas City's up there too. You cannot count them out. Kansas City and even Baltimore is the fifth seed. They could potentially make a run at it. So you just never know. So yeah, that's all I'm going to really say at this point. And again, just remember that these are just predictions, folks. Thank you very much for listening to the Random Green podcast. I hope you all enjoyed listening to this podcast. Now, if you listened to this podcast and there's nothing else to watch or listen to, you can watch, there's plenty of things on Netflix, plenty of things on Hulu, and you decided to listen to the whole podcast. Well, you truly are the best. Or maybe you just fell asleep. Who knows? Anyway, thank you for listening to the Random Green podcast.